always, I just want to acknowledge everybody who rank advanced last week, or if you had people rank advance on your team or within your organization. Congratulations, of course. There have been quite a few. It's a beautiful thing to be in midsummer and to have people progressing in the business, to have ZJ International growing. That has been the case now for pretty well the last 4 years, with this year being maybe the most significant year within those last 4 years in terms of growth. And of course, all of this is leading into convention, as we all know. And I think it appropriate, based on all the things that are happening, really to talk about action and taking advantage of what is happening at this moment in time. The company, as we all know, launched a second program in terms of incentive at the beginning of last cycle, and that being 2 people who get 2 people each, and that escalates over the course of doing that, completing that circuit 4 times, as much as 4 times. So we can go from a $400 bonus check to as much as a $3,200 bonus check. With the first 20 who achieved that being acknowledged at the convention with an additional $3,200 for a total of $6,400, plus all the first order bonuses, plus the team commissions, add everything together, and we're pretty close to a $10,000 60-day period. Not so bad for the month of August and September. And that is in place to help everybody not only advance the growth of the business, advance the growth of the company, but at the same time give everybody the opportunity to, in fact, not only cover their expenses going to convention, or at least for that group, but also to create a little bit of extra cash flow. So all these things are in place, and in many of the groups, many of the organizations, certain leaders have chosen to create additional bonus programs on top of that. So if you are a leader online that happens to have a pretty good commission check coming in, you can even use a portion of the new business that advances your check to reinvest in your people, to have some of your teammates have a little bit of extra benefit. So I just wanted to recap that. This program is running for 60 days, so 2 full pay periods. We're in cycle 2 of the first pay period, so there's plenty of time. This is, some people may accomplish this in a day or in a single cycle, but we do have a full 2 periods to accomplish it, whether it be 1 time or 4 times. And I've actually had people say, well, what if we go beyond 4 and do it 5, 6, 7, 8 times? I told them it's a maximum of 3,200. Do it 4 times and then go help somebody else accomplish it once and or multiples of that. Now, what's ultimately going to make the difference? What's going to separate those who have great success with this versus those that don't? And it's pretty simple. It's a single word, and that word is action. It's not skill set. It's not how many contacts a person has. It is not how long they've been in the industry. It's not how big their paycheck is. It is not their rank. It's not any of those things. It's one simple word, and that word is action. You've often heard the quote that I've put out, action supersedes everything. Nothing takes the place what we're doing. Doesn't matter who's helping us, doesn't matter what resources we have, doesn't matter where we're starting. All that matters is who is in fact taking action. Okay? A person with minimal skill set or no skills in this type of a business, no contacts, will still outperform the person with a massive Rolodex and sharp skills as it relates to our business. If that person with those skills and Rolodex does not take action, then the person that takes action will win all day long over the person, over that person, regardless of their background and skill set. And so action ultimately will supersede everything. It will win over everything. Now, obviously, there's a couple of different ways to employ action or take action, and that can be massive action. Massive action meaning a monumental, intense, focused effort in one shot, like we used to do in high school, called cramming for exams on the last weekend or the last evening. So there is the cramming concept, or there is the consistent, persistent concept of a little bit each and every day, which has a tendency to compound or have a compounding effect, which ultimately leads to creating momentum, creating results. But the key in all of this, the common denominator in all of this, is action. Action ultimately will supersede everything. And so he or she that is taking action will absolutely win over everybody else. Now, there are some statistics on this. There are statistics within ZJ International on this. I don't have those specifically, but I can give you kind of a snapshot of what it looks like and how easy it is to really win. How easy is it to win? And it goes like this. We win, or we surpass, about 80 to as much as 90% of the people by simply taking action. I'm always amazed at that single statistic, that we win over 80 to 90% of the people by simply taking action, by just doing it. Whether that's just a little bit each day or a little bit each week, we win over 80 to 90% of the people, right out of the gates. Why is that? Well, because the masses, as we all know, are the masses. They'll always be the masses. The 80-20 rule is alive and well. And people just have a lot of things going on in their lives, and there's a lot of mental blocks or psychological blocks or fears or other people's opinion that stops 80 to 90% of the people in their tracks. And they might take they might try it for an hour, for a day, maybe for 2 days, maybe speak to 2 people, and then they basically stop. That is the nature of all business. That's why most people in North America, in fact in the world, are in the 80% or in the 90%, the 80% that create 20% of the results, right? Most of the wealth is concentrated, or most of the success is concentrated into a small number. So we win by simply taking action. Doesn't matter what our skill set is, how good we are, what we know, what we don't. None of that matters. All that matters is taking action. It already puts us in the top 10. That's amazing when you think about it. That I can be in the top 10 by simply putting one foot in front of the other. Now, number 2, is we go into that next 5%. In other words, we go from 90% to the 90. So we're in the top 10%. We move into the top 5%. Okay, we move into the top 5% just by being consistent and focused and doing the new things on a regular basis. So in other words, a part-time person, part-time social, part-time seasonal, somebody that's just simply part-time, will be surpassed by that part-time serious person. That's the person, and I hear them on this call every Monday. There's a lot of people that simply don't miss some of these calls. There's a consistency. They're always there. They're always plugged in. They're always at events. They're always doing the new things. That puts us in the top 5%. In the top 5%. And that's not hard to do. When we think about it, that's a fairly simple thing to do. We take action, and then we just take that action consistently. And we put ourselves in the top 5%. That's how it works. Now, it's in that last 5%. It's in that last 5%. I'll repeat it again. It's in that last 5% where all the magic occurs, where the universe is to deliver on everything. Because it's in the last 5% where we've got to go through a little bit of pain or a little bit of difficulty. Probably a better way of saying it, it's in the last 5% where we have to get out of our comfort zone. It's in the last 5% where even when one is lifting weights or one is running a marathon or whatever it is that we're doing, it's in that last 5 repetitions, right? It's in the last few repetitions of doing leg work or a bench press or skipping or running. It's in that last little bit where it really gets difficult, where we really have to push ourselves to do one more, where we've got to just go beyond what the 95% will not do. And in that last portion, that last few repetitions, that's where all the competition is. That's where we are really refined. That's where we really get sharp. That's where all the magic happens, in that last little bit. That's where we've got to push ourselves. And so what I'm suggesting to everybody is this. Let's repeat this one more time. Okay? We win over 90% of the people by simply taking action. Immediately, we are in front of the entire pack by just taking action. We get ourselves into the top 5% by just being consistent, just having a consistency. And in that last 5%, this is where a little bit of personal development comes in, or even a lot of personal development. Reading some books, listening to CDs and or downloads, working on ourselves, sharpening our skill sets, right? Learning just a little bit more about what it is that we do, how to recruit, how to prospect, how to sponsor up, what to say to people, how to master the art of storytelling, how to identify, how to move people, how to coach people, how to be a better teacher, how to work with people, how to work with a team, aspects of leadership, what to do at an event, how to get a person started, how to help a person overcome their own fears, their own self-imposed limitations. all these things are refined and developed and anchored in that last 1%. And in that 1%, where we have all the people that make $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $25,000 a month, $500,000 a month. Now I'm not talking about, skills that we learn in high school to become an accountant or become a doctor or to, be an engineer or an electrician or a glazer like I was. Those things are specific skill sets, but they're not really interpersonal skills. They're not skills of leadership. They're a profession, they're a trade. But when it gets down to our business is all about people. It's all about leadership. It's all about interpersonal skills. It's all about working synergistically with people. It's about relationships. And we all don't do that real well. I certainly had to go through, and I am still going through, my own personal growth in these areas in order to advance my business and maintain and sustain an organization to deal with all the things that happen when, there's tens of thousands of people that are a part of a team. There's a lot of dynamics that happen in that. And one has to be able to keep everything moving forward, regardless of all the personalities and everything that goes on with it. That's all the stuff that happens in that last 1%. Right? That's a skill set not necessary for a brand new person who's looking to get their first person. That comes later. Now, will it help if a person has all that has all that skill in the very beginning? Of course it will. Of course it will. But is it necessary for a person to get their first two? Absolutely not. Not at all. Right? Because action will, again, supersede the first 90% of every single person who ever signs an application to join Zekin, or for that matter, in any business. And so, in thinking about it this way, if we have our goals written out, we have a calendar, or however we chart ourselves, and we make note of this is my leisure time, this is my off time, this is my family time, but this time, on these blocks, are all the time that I am dedicating to my business, to my success, to my future, to my security, to my children, my family, my lifestyle, my goals, my dreams, whatever. And we block that out on our calendar, and we make sure that consistently during those times we are engaged in action steps that move us towards those goals. Then we will ultimately achieve them, and that I can say with absolute certainty that it'll happen. I know this for a fact. Some people were at my house not too long ago, and I pulled out a plastic 3-ring binder where I had about 30 pages of written goals. Those written goals were done in 1993, my third year in network marketing. And I purchased a Zig Ziglar cassette tape on goal setting. And I went through that goal setting exercise where I was asked to make a dream sheet. The dream sheet was writing down every single thing that I wanted to accomplish in life, and that had to do with everything from, personal, financial, emotional, spiritual, right, physical, everything. There were all the categories, and it was wide open, right down everything in detail. The house, the travel, the cars, the toys, the children, the family, the relationships, everything, right? Everything. And then at the end of each of those wants or desires, write down a clearly articulated statement on why. You know, what will it give me? What are the benefits? And so forth. And so I did my dream sheet, and the dream sheet was probably 15 pages of the 30 pages, writing down all this stuff. And then out of all of those, Ziegler asked to write down two that were most important, two that would really define me. And one of them was empowering people. Right? I think that's something that is natural, something that I do. So I write down empowering people, and what does that look like? Being a teacher, being a coach, so forth. And the other one I think was spiritual. I'm still working on that one. That one's a never-ending process for sure. So, and then after that, after all that was written down, then I was asked to break it down into the formula for achieving those things. Create a deadline. Who would I need to work with, and so forth. Make it achievable. Make it measurable. All there was the 7 aspects of what to do to achieve those goals. And now I can tell you, at the time that I wrote all this down, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. But we had our basement rented in our first house. That helped pay the mortgage. People came in the side door, lived downstairs, and that helped us cover our bills. And aside from the fact that, I had to borrow my mother's credit card a number of times when things went upside down. But all that was written down. And then there was some charting that I did on a 30-day calendar, so that I could actually put down where I was going to put in the time and the energy, and again, the theme of this call, take the action steps towards this stuff. No clue as to what it would look like. I was just told that most people, they've done studies on this. People that have written stuff down have achieved it somewhat. I can't remember the exact number, but it's like 90% of them achieved what they had written down, versus very, very, very few people who didn't write anything down and focus on it, didn't achieve anything. And so here we are, a number of years later. I still have that book. I still have all the stuff I wrote down, and 90 to 95% of everything that was ever written on that dream sheet, on everything, has been achieved. That is amazing when you think about it, and it's not because of anything, not because I'm special, but no, because there's a formula for success. There's a formula that works. And when we employ that formula, in other words, when we're teachable, when we're coachable, everything falls into place. The natural order of things will take over, and good things will come to pass. What I'm suggesting, for anybody that's on this line, and I know you're consistent, I know you want this, I know that you're driving forward every day, I know you're focused and you're consistent, persistent, and so forth. This core, this group, okay, take your game to the next level. Take your focus to that next level, right? Don't just do and take the action step. You've got the action mastered. You're taking the action, right? Why not take that action? Why not take that action? Why not take that action and so hard? Why not work smart? So you take the fact that you're taking that action and laser your action by managing exactly what it is that you're doing, so that you're only doing things that are highly productive, that your time is invested in things that create results. And as you start to do this, it becomes natural. In the beginning, sometimes out of our comfort zone to focus on it, but as you start doing it, it becomes natural. As it becomes natural, you then, sort of put it into subconscious. As it moves and goes into subconscious, eventually, you just incorporate it into your being. It's no longer a mechanical thing that you're doing. It's now in your being. It's now in your... And once it's in your subconscious, then you will have achieved sort of mastering the concept. You then become a trainer of trainers. Like it's something that you've incorporated into every aspect of who you are, such that when you're working with others, it becomes very natural for you to move them, to empower them, to inspire them to the next level. And in our industry, in network marketing and Zeech International, he or she that has the ability to move others, to empower others, to coach others, to teach others, ultimately will achieve the highest level of success in our business. Because as a diamond elite, or as a triple diamond, or a double down diamond, black diamond, at any of those levels, the number one asset that we have is our teaching and coaching ability. Yes, we can retail product. Yes, we can recruit. We can sponsor people. But in the end, our ability to teach, coach, and mentor will supersede everything. We've got the action down, and now we have the refinement, the focus. A little bit of a deeper call this morning than a standard promotional, motivational call, but it's a great time for more people to step up into leadership. It's a great time for more people to refine some of their skill sets. I know that the art of network distribution is out there. There's a lot of great stuff on there in many of these areas. There will be a series coming out on leadership, and a series coming out on training trainers. Those series will come out over the course of 2014, and then a person can be a fully well-rounded leader with all the different skill sets that are required to make a six-figure monthly income. And remember, it's not the six-figure monthly income. We talk about money on a closing note here. It's not just because we've got money to go and do things. Obviously, that helps. I think that removes a lot of stress and a lot of challenges that people have. But it's more what the money enables us to do for others that makes it all worthwhile. You can buy a couple of toys and you can have a nice house and all of that, but after you have it, you find that the fulfillment with that is limited and doesn't compare to when you use your success and your resources to make a difference in other people's lives. That's what our business is all about, and that's what makes it all worthwhile. And so with that everybody. Thanks for all that you do in making Zuja a great company. Continued success. Have a great week. We'll be on the MIT call tonight. We'll take it up a couple of notches. Let's build for a big call. Let's invite guests. Let's take some action today. Load up the call. I'll do my best to make sure that they all join your business at the end of the call. And with that, thanks everybody. Any announcements? If there's anybody on the moderator line, any announcements before we wrap up? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and the lines are open.
Illinois. Cuba's from Eddie Callahan, Las Vegas. South Carolina.
Great call, thank you.
Outstanding call. David.
California, thank you, David.